This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 8. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and blessings to Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, it's the brother Aharon coming back at you with another lesson. Lord willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and I'm going to title this World War I, the Baalfore Declaration. Okay, World War I and the Baalfore Declaration. Okay, and pretty much when you go into the times of, I believe, the 1940s, all right, where you had 1948, where so-called Israel, all right, was made pretty much a state. Okay, Palestine, the land of Israel, all right, was officially, all right, given into the hands of, all right, the so-called Jewish people. Okay, now this is something that they don't want people talking about because it is an unrighteous thing that they did. All right, but now fast forward to the year 2023, and even prior to that, all right, we're talking about, okay, the land of Israel. Okay, because again, understand that according to biblical prophecy, all right, the children of Israel are not in the land of Israel right now as we speak. Okay, the Lord told us, all right, let me get that real quick. Okay. The Lord told us, all right, going all the way back to the wilderness, that we were going to be scattered. Okay, he was going to get us up out of our land, all right, and scatter us in all these other nations. So let's get that real quick. Let's see. Right here. There's a book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, and verse 3. It says, that then the Lord Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity. Okay, so we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai that the children of Israel, all right, the true biblical sons of God, okay, which makes up the 12 tribes, all right, of Israel, okay, are in a state of captivity right now. Okay, so as the Lord said back in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 3, it says that then the Lord Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity. Okay, so he's gonna take us from the state of being in captive, all right, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord Yahweh thy power hath scattered thee. Okay, so at one point we were in the land of Israel. Okay, when you go back into the time of the kings, all right, and then prior to the time of the Assyrians, and then later on the Babylonians, all right, and then you had the Medo-Persians. Okay, and then you had the Greeks, and then you had the Romans. Okay, now when you forward all the way down to about 66 to 74 AD, you had something known as the Jewish-Roman wars. Okay, there was a lot of so-called Jewish revolts, which was just Jake being Jake. Okay, going back and forth against the oppressors. All right, at that time was the Romans. So it wasn't up until 70 AD where you had the siege of Jerusalem. All right, under the order of Vespasian, but he sent his son Titus, okay, to come and basically make war against us, and that's where you have, when you read the book of from Babylon to Timbuktu, okay, it tells you that it is estimated that over 1 million Jews, okay, and a Jew simply one who's from the tribe of Judah, okay, but in that time, during those times of the Roman period, all right, being known as a Jew or a Judean was simply one from the southern kingdom, okay, which was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, all right, but the head tribe, all right, during the southern kingdom was Judah, okay, and that goes all the way back to the time of King David, King Solomon, all right, and then after the split, you had the northern kingdom, which was known as the kingdom of Israel. And then you had the southern kingdom, which is known as the kingdom of Judah. Okay, because Judah was the head tribe. All right, is the head tribe. Okay, so after the time of the Assyrians, okay, when they came and made war against the northern kingdom and took them captive, okay, and took them into the land of Assyria, you had only the southern kingdom that was still in Israel. Now, of course, you had other of the northern tribes that were part of us, the southern kingdom, but for the most part, the northern tribes were all taken up, all right, by the Assyrians. Okay, so during the time of the Romans, it was mostly the kingdom of Judah, meaning the southern kingdom, that was going back and forth, okay, with the Romans. And that war that happened in 70 AD, all right, the Judeans, all right, our people fled, all right, the land of Israel, okay, and most of them ended up in the western parts of Africa. Okay, now there is no record or account that says that the modern day so-called Jewish people ever dwelt in the land of Africa. Nowhere. Okay, there is no record saying that the so-called modern day Jews today actually lived in the land of Israel prior to 1948. Okay, as in this is their land, and it's like how they push it today. Oh, this is our land, and no. You go back to the Khazars. Okay, which is a whole different topic that we can go into, all right, Lord willing, another time. Okay, but what we're going to establish today is something known as the Baalfore Declaration, and how that land, the land of Israel, the land of Palestine, all right, got into the hands of these so-called Jewish people. Okay, so let's read. It says, what happened? World War I broke out in the summer of 1914. There are few people here my age who remember that. Now, that war was waged on one side by Great Britain, France, and Russia, and on the other side by Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey. Within 2 years, Germany had won at war, or they had won that war. Not only won it nominally, but won it actually. The German submarines, which were a surprise to the world, had swept all the convoys from the Atlantic Ocean. Great Britain stood there without ammunition for her soldiers, with 1 week's food supply, and after that, starvation. At that time, the French army was mutinied, or they had mutinied, because when you go back into the time of World War I, you know, there was a lot going on, and that's even prophesied. Okay, when you read the book of Revelation, all right, the book of Revelation, the 9th chapter, all right, it pretty much goes into World War I. That's what John the Revelator saw. Okay, now that was a very big event, so there is no way it wasn't prophesied in the Bible. All right, just continue. It says they had lost 600,000 of the flower of French youth in the defense of Verdun on the Somme. The Russian army was defecting. They were picking up their toys and going home, meaning their military armaments. They didn't want to play war anymore. They didn't like the Tsar, and the Italian army had collapsed. Not a shot had been fired on German soil. Not one enemy soldier had crossed the border into Germany, and yet Germany was offering England peace terms. They offered England a negotiated peace on what the lawyers call a status quo ante basis. All right, status quo ante basis. That means let's call the war off and let everything be as it was before the war started. Okay, and another way of saying status quo ante basis is also known as status quo antebellum. Okay, meaning everything should go back to how it was prior to the time of war. Okay, and that's one thing America is never going to see. Okay, America will never ever go back to a status quo antebellum. All right, once World War III picks up, all right, you start having these nuclear shootouts, nuclear fights. Okay, and Yahushua returns. America is not going to go back to good old days. Okay, America is not going to be seen as the one who comes in to save. No way, because the world has been exposed, all right, to the inner dealings of these devils. Okay, that all these wars are orchestrated. They don't happen by chance. Okay, because of something known as cui bono. Okay, cui bono means what? One who stands to benefit. Okay, so when you look at all these things that happens, all these world events, all right, geopolitical events, all right, domestic events, you have to always sit back and look at who is benefiting from these things. Okay, and if you find out who's benefiting from it, understand that they're the ones who are creating these things. Okay, so let's continue. It says England in the summer of 1916 was considering that seriously. They had no choice. It was either accepting this negotiated peace that Germany was magnanimously offering them, or going on with the war and being totally defeated. While that was going on, the Zionists in Germany, who represented the Zionists from Eastern Europe, went to the British War Cabinet, and I'm going to be brief because it's a long story, but I have all the documents to prove any statement that I make. They said, look here, you can yet win this war. You don't have to give up. You don't have to accept the negotiated peace offered to you now by the Germans. You can win this war if the United States will come in as your ally. The United States was not in the war at that time. We were fresh, we were young, we were rich, we were powerful. All right, and that's when America was at the peak. Okay, all the way back, all the way from that time, all the way to the 60s and the 70s. That's when America start tanking, start to fall. Okay, the fall of the second leg of the Roman Empire really kicked off during the 60s and 70s. Okay, right when the apostles started to come out there, starting with Elder Apopovich with his truth. Okay, the moment the Israelites started to wake up, okay, the elect start to wake up and hear the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that was the beginning of the downfall and the end of the Roman Empire, second leg of the Roman Empire, which is America, Babylon the Great. Okay, and this is all according to biblical prophecy. Okay, not no prophecy from the Quran or any other book, but the Bible itself. That's why you have these same devils behind the scenes trying to what? Outlaw the Bible. Okay, it all makes perfect sense. You know why they want to outlaw the Bible? Because the Bible is the one book that doesn't favor them. That's why. And everything written in the scriptures will be fulfilled, including them being taken down, okay, being shackled, being put in slavery for all the crimes against humanity. You understand? It says, we will guarantee, it says they told England, we will guarantee to bring the United States into the war as your ally, right? To fight with you on your side if you will promise us Palestine after you win the war. Okay, this is what the so-called Jews went and told the people in Britain, the British, okay, when they were already pretty much defeated by the Germans, okay, and the Germans offered them peace. But the so-called Jays, knowing that they don't want peace, all right, they have their own ulterior motives, they went to the British and said, we can get the Americans to come fight with you. Okay, after the war is over and you pretty much decimate the Germans, you got to give us the land of Palestine. In other words, they made this deal, quote, we will get the United States into this war as your ally. The price you must pay is Palestine after you have won the war and defeated Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey, end quote. Now, England had as much right to promise Palestine to anybody as the United States would have to promise Japan to Ireland for any reason whatsoever. Exactly. Right? So it makes you question, what power did England have over Palestine that the Jews went to them to ask for Palestine after they had defeated Germany as a price for helping them win the war against Germany? See, it goes to show you who really runs the world. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Okay? And all these wars, all the calamities, all these people who have died is because of these devils. Okay? And the scriptures tell you, 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, that the man of sin will be revealed. Okay? And he's being revealed right now. It says, it's absolutely absurd that Great Britain, that never had any connection or any interest or any right in what is known as Palestine, should offer it as coin of the realm to pay the Zionists for bringing the United States into the war. So that, in other words, the so-called Jewish people living in the land of Palestine and the land of Israel is unwarranted. Nobody put you there. Okay? You came up with the concept of something known as a Baalfore Declaration to take the land of Israel. But prior to that, where were the Israelites? You see, where were the Israelites during that time? Where are the 12 tribes of Israel during that time? I gave you the back history of it, of how we left that land. The Lord is the one who kicked us up out of that land. Okay? Continue. And he promised that he'll bring us back. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can bring that up real quick. The Lord said he's going to bring back the captivity of Judah and Israel. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can get this. Okay. This is the book of Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 20 says, "At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you." Okay, and now is the time of the gathering. Okay, pertaining to Amos the 9th chapter. Okay, the Lord said he's going to gather his elect. Okay, and he's going to bring us from like a sieve being sifted. Okay, as corn being sifted in a sieve. Okay, let me just pull that up real quick. Let's bring that up real quick. All right, the book of Amos, chapter 9. All right, in the verse 9. Okay, it says, "For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel." Okay, because the nation of Israel is also known as the house of Israel. All right, because it pertains to 12 different brothers who became 12 different families of the same household. Okay, from Judah all the way down to Issachar. All right, so it says the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Why? Because we were scattered into all these other nations. You got members of the house of Israel who are mingled in the house of Ammon, in the house of Moab, in the house of Edom, in the house of Ham, and so on and so forth. So all the people who are of the house of Israel, the Lord said he will bring them back from these other nations, from these other houses. Okay, because they don't belong there. They might be living there. They might look like those people there, but their nationality isn't of those people. Okay, so the Lord said in the last days, which we are in the last days, he will command and he will sift, all right, the people, our people from the house of Israel who are in these other nations, and bring them back, okay, to who they are as a nation. Okay, and then he's going to put us back in our land when Yahushua gets back. So anyone who's going to be in the land of Israel right now, according to biblical prophecy, you, for the most part, you are not the children of the Most High, period. Now, does that mean that we don't have, Israelites, actual biblical Israelites living in that land? Of course not. You still have Israelites biblically who are still in that land who might look like these so-called Jewish people. Okay? But when you trace their line, going all the way back to their fathers and their forefathers and so on and so forth, they all go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, making them part of the house of Israel. Okay? It says, like as a corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Okay, so that's the prophecy. Okay, and this is how the prophecy is being fulfilled. Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 20. "At that time I will bring you again, even in the time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith the Lord." So the nation of Israel is in captivity right now. They're known as predominantly the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans in America right now as we speak, and around the world. Okay? But predominantly here, America is the land of our captivity. Okay? So let's continue. It says, however, they did make that promise in October of 1916. And shortly after that, I don't know how many here remember it, the United States, which was almost totally pro-German, for the most part during World War I, America was pretty much neutral, all right? But then it became pro-German, entered the war as Britain's ally. So what is that? That is, that's being blindsided, right? I say that the United States was almost totally pro-German because the newspapers here were controlled by so-called Jews. The bankers were so-called Jews. All the media of mass communications in this country were controlled by so-called Jews, and is still controlled by them till today. And they, the so-called Jews, were pro-German. They were pro-German because many of them had come from Germany, and also they wanted to see Germany lick the Tsar, meaning kick his ass, right? The so-called Jews didn't like the Tsar and didn't want Russia to win this war. And that's all going into them trying to push for those central banks. Okay, they had to remove the Tsar. All right, I believe in China they did the same thing. All right, there's a whole lot of history behind these devils taking over this whole entire planet by way of war. All right, lies, deception, okay, control of the money. All right, in order for them to what? To have the whole entire planet under their subjection. That's biblical prophecy, Job 9:24. Okay, it says the Jews didn't like the Tsar and didn't want Russia to win this war. These German Jew bankers like Kuhn Lab and the other big banking firms in the United States refused to finance France or England to the extent of $1. In other words, they funded both sides of the war. Okay, they stood aside and they said, as long as France and England are tied up with Russia, not 1 cent. But they poured money into Germany. They fought beside Germany against Russia, trying to lick the Tsarist regime. Now those same Jays, when they saw the possibility of getting Palestine, went to England and they made this deal. So before, they weren't fucking with them. But when they saw an opportunity, they went and in the middle of the night, made meetings, secret meetings, and then made a plan. Okay? It says, at that time, everything changed, like a traffic light that changes from red to green, where the newspapers had been all pro-German, where they'd been telling the people of the difficulties that Germany was having fighting Great Britain commercially and in other respects. All of a sudden, the Germans were no good. They were villains. They were Huns. They were shooting Red Cross nurses. They were cutting off babies' hands. They were no good. Shortly after that, Mr. Wilson declared war on Germany. Okay? Woodrow Wilson. All right? The Zionists in London had sent cables to the United States to Justice Brandeis saying, go to work on President Wilson. We're getting from England what we want. Now you go to work on President Wilson and get the United States into the war. That's how the United States got into the war. We had no more interest in it. We had no more right to be in it than we have to be on the moon tonight instead of in this room. It says there was absolutely no reason for World War I to be our war. We were railroaded into it. If I can be vulgar, we were suckered into it. That war merely so that the Zionists of the world could obtain Palestine. Okay? That is something that the people of the United States have never been told, and they'll never be told that. Just like everything else that these fucking Americans believe has been lies. Your history has been lies. You've been lied to. And that's why you're about to pay a hefty, hefty price for believing those lies. Okay? It says they never knew why they went into World War I. All right? And to the regular American person who goes to a public school system, they teach you some bullshit and you believe it. You think America is such a great country. We beat the big bad Germans, you know? Well, let me ask you this. What do you think happened to those German scientists and physicists and all those people who had a hand in creating all those high advanced military weapons, all right, that was kicking the British people in the ass? Where do you think those people went? Okay, yes, they were appointed to come and work in the U.S. government in the Pentagon. Okay, people like what's this guy's name? Damn, I forgot his name. Oh man, I got TOT right now. If it comes back, I'll say it. The Spirit's gonna bring it back. All right. So let's continue. It says after we got into the war, the Jays went to Great Britain and they said, well, we performed our part of the agreement. Let's have something in writing that shows that you are going to keep your bargain and give us Palestine after you win the war. They didn't know whether the war would last another year or another 10 years. So they started to work out a receipt. The receipt took the form of a letter, which was worded in very cryptic language so that the world at large wouldn't know what it is all about. And that was called the Baalfore Declaration. The Baalfore Declaration was merely Great Britain's promise to pay the Zionists or the Jays, the Edomites, all right, the Amalekites, what they had agreed upon as a consideration for getting the United States into the war. Okay? Now, how do you justify some shit like this? You see, and this is why when the truth comes out, they deem it what? Hey, this is anti-Semitism. Because it exposes the wickedness that they do, that they don't want the world to know that they do. You see? So continue, it says, so this great Baalfore declaration that you hear so much about is just as phony as a $3 bill. You hear that? So they don't even have the right to be in that land, but yet people think, oh, the Israelis, the Jews, this is their land, they're God's chosen people. Fuck out of here, man. Fuck all the way out of here with that shit. Guess what? When Yahushua gets back, we'll see how much power they really have. All right? It says, I don't think I could make it more emphatic than that. That is where all the trouble started. The United States got in the war. The United States crushed Germany. You know what happened. When the war ended, the Germans went to Paris for the Paris Peace Conference in 1919. There were 117 Jays there. As a delegation representing the Jays, headed by Bernard Baruch. The Jays at that peace conference, when they were cutting up Germany and parceling out Europe to all these nations who claimed a right to a certain part of European territory, said, how about Palestine for us? And they produced, for the first time to the knowledge of the Germans, this Baalfore Declaration. So the Germans, for the first time, realized, oh, so that was the game. That's why the United States came into the war. The Germans, for the first time, realized that they were defeated. They suffered the terrific reparations that were slapped onto them because the Jays wanted Palestine and were determined to get it at any cost. That is the end, and that is how these devils got their hands on the land of Israel. Okay? The Most High did not step into it and say, hey, I'm going to send my son down to put you people in this land. No. Okay? Now let's get a quick precept to prove, all right, that those people who are in that land don't belong there. Okay? They don't belong there. Let's see. Let's see. Oh boy. Stupid pop-ups, man. All right, ultimately, let me see. Okay. Right. There's a book of Luke. All right, chapter 21 and verse 24. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, so the time of us falling by the sword, the edge of the sword, all right, it started with the Assyrians, all right, ultimately the Babylonians. You go all the way fast forward into history during the time of the Greeks, okay, fast forward all the way into history during the time of the Romans, okay, and then after we fell to the Romans, all right, it says what? And they shall be led captive into all nations. You fast forward into the second leg of the Roman Empire, where we were taken, all right, captive and shipped throughout the whole entire world. Okay? From the western parts of Africa, something known as the transatlantic slave trade. Okay? And then we were brought into all these other nations, but predominantly brought over here to the Americas. Okay? It says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. So whoever is in that land now are known as the Gentiles, but not Israelites. Okay, we're talking about Gentiles from in the terms of heathens, different other nations who are not Israelites. Okay, and who's the main people here who are in the land of Israel right now, in the land of Jerusalem right now? The so-called Jays. Okay, and we just read how they got that land. Okay, it was all through what? Deception, lies, war. Okay, it says trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, so we're entering into the time where that time is being fulfilled. Okay, you've reached the top. Now let's look into the word fulfill real quick. To fulfill, okay, it says to fill up, to make full, to take the place of something. Okay, to take the place of something. All right, it says what? Completion. Okay, so your time is up. Your time is up. Okay, these devils' time is up, man. All right. So I'm going to bring this last precept, the one we started out with. I'll bring it back, and then we're going to close it out. All right, it's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, all right, and after we read what we read, it was all unrighteous dealings, okay, injuries, okay, you got millions of people who got killed during these wars, okay, thousands of people who became homeless, okay, limbs being blown off, all right, people's heads being shot off, all right, bombs being dropped off, all kinds of shit, man, okay. It says, and riches got by deceit. Look at all this stuff that's going on around the world. World War I, World War II, and now you got World War III, and these devils have been a part of all three. Okay? And riches got by deceit. Okay? You got the money system, something known as a fiat currency. Okay? Fake money. Okay? And they got riches based off of that. All right? It says, and it says the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right? So the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Judah, all right, the land, all right, has been taken and given into these devils' hands. Okay, the British making something known as a Baalfore declaration. Like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? But the world is being exposed to you devils and your deceptive ways, man. Okay, and very soon you're gonna see everything we've been saying is true, man, and it's all gonna come to pass. And hey, hopefully, those who listen, Lord willing, you're gonna be all right. All right, but for those who didn't listen, hey, may the Most High put heavy hell upon you devils, man. All right, heavy. All right, for doubting the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So I'm going to leave it off there. Lord willing, you've been edified. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakha Kodash, the Wadi Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And until next time, Shalom.